Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue the conversation we've been having with Mr. Waithaka Gatume, the CEO of Centonomy. I see a lot of your feedback. Keep it coming at Grace Kuria KE, at KTN News KE. You can also call in live just to send in your questions, your comments, whatever, questions especially you may have to him. And there's a lot of feedback at Philip Marube says, hi Grace, a very good conversation you got. Festive budgeting is a nightmare for most of us. Too much expectations. Too many of us start planning at the last month of the festival, perhaps due to the struggles of life in the preceding months or days peaked. He says he has picked some lessons there. There's yours wholeheartedly. That's what he calls himself on Twitter. He says, budget what? I don't even know what to eat. What am I budgeting for? Then he actually says, if you can throw something, I can give someone's account. Unirushia hata 10 bob. Is it this bad?
It is. It is. But the fact that he or she, I don't know if it's a he or she.
I think it's a he. His profile pic is a
gentleman.
It's a gentleman.
Because you're on Twitter, you've had a moment to think and to plan. One of the other things that we really need to begin to do is to understand, to tell amazing Kenyan stories. Amazing Kenyan stories. I don't know whether I should speak about it.
Go ahead.
Because it's your competitors, but it's okay. I will say because he's an amazing Kenyan. The owner of Royal Media.
Okay, fine.
Mr. Macharia.
Yeah.
Mr. Macharia's story, I heard it at an event one time. He was actually a brilliant student in school, and there was a time for the airlifts for students to go to the US at that time, the brilliant students. But they needed to raise enough funds for the air ticket. Their school fees was paid, everything was paid on the other side. All they needed to do was raise funds for the air ticket. And imagine he couldn't raise the funds for the air ticket. But imagine Mr. Macharia went to the US, and he went to the US by bus.
Yeah.
By bus. People asking, how do you go to the US by bus? He took a bus from here to Sudan, to Libya, to the port of Benghazi, crossed the Mediterranean, like these immigrants that we are seeing, went into Europe, crossed even to the UK, looked for somebody to actually sponsor him to go to the US. Many of us, when faced with trouble like that, just say, you know what, there's no hope. See, I just go back to the village, I can't afford this, and we find ourselves in trouble. But I'm telling you, if he had the opportunity, this gentleman had the opportunity to write that tweet, then he has a mind that can think. And if he can spend a few minutes thinking, how can I raise some cash today, some opportunity today? What can I do that is different? And I'm telling you, start where you are. There's another gentleman who was speaking at our open day recently, a gentleman called Julian Kula. He's an extremely wealthy young Kenyan. And he started an amazing global business called Mode. And he's a Kenyan, global business, now in over 30 countries. But he tells of the story of when he was starting out in college, and after college, he was a watchman. He was a waiter. I mean, he started at that level. If you can be able to do this, I'm telling you, if you could write that tweet, you sound like a very intelligent person. If you went and offered your services at a place where they require your services, you would be shocked what kind of jobs you can get. Maybe it's not the job at the level that you want, but imagine even a minimum wage job can raise enough funds for you to start a small business that will grow over time. The issue is, do we have the mindset for growth? Because if we are locked in this space where, oh, woe is me, the world is over, it's so difficult, tough economic times. Yes, there are tough economic times, but imagine there are some businesses that are thriving in tough economic times. Why? Because they are thinking. And we must, even as small businesses, begin to think beyond where we are. Can I give you another example, if you don't mind? So we're training in Nakuru, and this lady is in our class, and she owns a salon. Imagine she has pumped resources into this salon, and she's tired. She's wondering, why isn't it generating any income for me? I find I'm looking for money from elsewhere to pay my employees there. And I told her, what are your employees doing to get clients to come into this place? You need to give them targets every month in order to raise the amount of money that you require. And this lady looked at me and she said, what do you mean targets? But they can't leave the shop. If they leave the shop, the customers, I said, lady, you don't understand. Do they have mobile phones? Yes. Do they have numbers for their clients? Yes. How come they have not called that last client and said, hey, your hair must be looking bad by now. You need to come in. That's marketing. They need to be on Twitter and Facebook doing hashtag come to our salon specials on this place. And those are the targets we are talking about. She is actually the employee in her own business because she takes care of her employees. I told her it should be the other way around.
Yeah.
Every business that is successful starts off with targets. We are saying for next year, like for instance, at Centonomy, we had our board meeting. The board tells us, we want these results for next year. Tough economic times or not, there's an expectation. And when you put an expectation, when we go and now sit down, hey, the board told us how many millions for next year, my team and I have to think and plan and strategize how, no matter what the economic situation is, how we can be able to help people. So we can sometimes even use tough economic times to be able to grow. Because now you're saying there's an opportunity. People need to learn how to manage money. People need to learn how to manage their business. You see, even in tough times, there's opportunity if you can only open your eyes and push yourself. So in business, it is about looking at what can we do to grow? Even the biggest companies in this country, there's a reason you see Safaricom advertising everywhere. See, they already have the most subscribers. What do they need to advertise for? No, they want to grow continuously. You guys have an amazing audience, but every day you're producing excellent TV, excellent newspaper, excellent radio. Why? Because you want to grow, because you have been told you must grow. So you should be spending some time before the year ends and before the year begins to think, what is my opportunity for growth in this year? And it'll be different one company to another. It's just about the amount of time you spend there.
And I'm assuming the growth in mindset also includes not despising the humble beginnings, because you know, you go to campus, you study for 4 or 5 years, and then when you're out, you unfortunately don't get the job for the course that you studied, but there's an opening, and you know, you don't want to go down that route because you didn't study for it.
I mean, by God's grace, I started as an unpaid intern, doing sport news on radio. So that's why I was laughing at you when you were trying to do all those names, those difficult names a few minutes ago. But it's because I've shared that. I know I understand, because that's where I started, as an unpaid intern. But when I got into that job, I was convinced I must do a great job. And within 3 years, I moved from an unpaid intern to the head of that radio company. To the head. Why? Because I was not troubled about where I was starting. Let me talk to the college students again. For 4 years, you're in college. What are you doing with your free time when you're in college? I'm encouraging you, go and offer your time for free. You can't imagine how many small companies would love to have a college student come and add their value to the company. And you know what you have by the end of that period of time? You have experience. So that when you walk into an office and you say, here's my CV, your CV looks very different from all the other college students, because yours has the degree, but it also has 4 years of experience. So while you're still in college and you're in school, please find a job somewhere, even if you're working for free, but tell them they must write for you a good letter and a good recommendation. Why? Because it'll open up those opportunities. But the second thing, because let me tell you, 100,000 students, 75,000 jobs being created, less than that per year, then you have to also begin to understand how business works. So that when you do start a business, it is not going to just be to eat profits, but to grow. And that's where the opportunities come up. Now,
there's a comment here, and I'm sure you won't like it.
It's okay. It's all right. Everyone has a right to
Dennis Okello, he says, because we asked, you know, how you plan to budget for this festive season ahead of January. And then he says, pate after pate, ya kesho ya jigange, let us spoil our appetite.
You know, no, it's not disappointing. I love the honesty. You know, because Dennis has understood this is my plan, and he shall bear the fruits of his plan. He has understood. He said next month will take care of itself, essentially. Yeah, Dennis, I wish you all the best for January. But what he's doing is he has made a decision. And what I love is that he has made it of his own free will. To the rest of us, let's also make decisions and say, you know what, it is possible to party, but also to plan for next month. It is actually possible. It is a decision that you make. So Dennis, I wish you all the best. I hope you could probably change a little bit, but at least you have decided. Other people have not decided. They're probably, all of Dennis's friends are hoping that they'll be good next month. They don't understand Dennis has made a decision. And they're probably following him around wherever he's going and wondering, where is this guy's money coming from? He doesn't know where it's coming from. But everyone who's following him is doing the same thing. You make a decision for yourself. I think it's possible actually to party, but to plan. And if you do both of them at the same time, please do enjoy the holiday season with what you have. Yeah.
Is it possible to start, where someone is right now? I know you've mentioned that before, but then is it too late if someone has probably never thought of saving, budgeting? Is it too late for that?
Wow. Is it ever too late? I don't think so. I really don't believe that it is ever too late. I think at the point at which you make a decision, opportunities open up. I'm always amazed by some of the older people who come for our classes because they talk about, you know what, I've been working for many years and I didn't even know what was going to happen. But you know what, so long as you're alive and you have energy and you have a brain, the opportunities are there. You'll be shocked how many businesses have been started in people's 50s and 60s and ideas that came out and even jobs. Think about the average age of all presidents and even governors. They're generally old people. So opportunities are there. And one of the best things about old age is this. One of the best things is this, that you have experience. Young people don't have the privilege of experience. And let me tell you, in this world, people pay a premium for experience. So don't just say, oh, it's too late, I can't be able to do this. No. At whatever stage you are, whatever stage you find yourself, begin at that point and say, what do I have in my hands? What experience do I have? What opportunities can I see? And then begin to build from there. If you can do that, let me tell you, there's amazing work ahead of you. So, can I start with what I have? Yes. You need to spend a few minutes, if you don't mind, Grace, a few minutes just saying this. What do I have in my arsenal to be able to go out there? Okay, do I have an education? If not, what do I have? Experience. Do I have a mindset, an attitude that people would actually pay for? Because there are many jobs that don't require necessarily a university degree, but that can begin to set you up for what you want to achieve. There are many things that you may have that you've never assessed, but it takes you sitting down and assessing yourself and saying, what do I actually have that is of value to offer? When you do that, then you go out into the market and say, here is what I have to offer. What does the market need? You'll be surprised what you can achieve. Yes.
There are a lot of comments that we're getting actually, and I can tell most of them are from young people.
Good.
In fact, there's a question here, I believe, Philip Marube, who says such wonderful insights about finance management. Is it possible to have financial management as compulsory training for everyone to instill entrepreneurial culture in the Kenyan people, given the shrinking white-collar job market?
Hey, Philip,
what would you tell them?
Philip, you are in my dreams. This is what we are trying to get, because we get empowered to be great employees. Excuse me. And Kenyans, let me tell you, Kenyans are some of the best employees around the world. Why? Because we are trained very well for that. But as Philip has said, where is the training for entrepreneurial mindset? Where is the training for that? And that's the gap that we're trying to meet as Autonomy, because we've realized that. And we're working with government in order to be able to get this to be able to grow. A couple of weeks ago, our founder and executive director, Washeke Nduati, was actually in Machakos at an SME summit with the governor of Machakos, because we are determined to assist in the growth in this area. So, Philip, you are in my dreams. We are now actually working to make this a formal part of our education system. Because if we can, as Kenyans, understand how business works, the likelihood of us growing that business only increases. Can I give us a sports analogy? If you show up on a rugby field, only understanding how football works, I assure you, you are going to be in trouble. First, you don't even know how to score. Next, you don't even know where you're getting the information from. You don't even know how to pass the ball. You're in trouble. So understanding the rules of business is the first thing. Let me help you with a couple of them. Number one, a business, you must be solving a problem out there. Who are you solving a problem for? What does your product do in order to solve, product or service do in order to solve that problem? And is there a market for it? If you can find a market, then we're in a good place. Then that business, in order for it to be sustainable, must cater for all its costs, as I said earlier, including you as the entrepreneur. When we get into this stage, then we are in a sustainable business. And that's where the growth now begins to happen. Then we start playing the game that all other businesses have been playing for a long time. We have been at a disadvantage because we don't have this entrepreneurial knowledge, and that is what Centonomy is going to be doing for 2020. That's why I'm here. I came here, I'm on holiday, by the way, but I still woke up. I came out of my holiday to be able to come and speak about this because it matters. And let me tell you this. We're not the only organization talking about this. There are many others that are out there. We must get this business thing right for our country to grow.
And we do appreciate, we do really appreciate, sir. Now we have some callers online. We have Robert Nyamach from Ruiru. Good morning, Robert. Thank you so much for calling in. What's your contribution to our discussion today?
Can I reply straight away? Hello, this is Robert.
Yes,
Hi,
Robert, carry on.
Yes, I'm not one of your younger audiences. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Carry on.
Yes, I'm not one of your younger audiences. I'm much older and has got quite some experience. But my main question is, do we have spaces for idea development? Because I think quite a lot of young people or many other Kenyans may have ideas, but need fine-tuning and just like you have in developed countries. You have an idea, but then there are spaces you go to that then that idea is fine-tuned, because you cannot have all the aspects about how to fine-tune these new ideas in today's situation.
Yes.
So do we have spaces? For example, if somebody has an idea, could meet some of these autonomy guys, probably create a space for just listening to what people have and looking at its viability, and then probably redirecting and seeing it through. Do we have that opportunity?
Okay, Robert. Mr. Waithaka here will respond to that. But before he does, we also have Peter Karaoke from Thika. Good morning, Peter. Thank you so much for calling in. What's your contribution to our conversation today?
Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Peter.
Yeah, so I just have a few questions.
Yes.
The first question I wanted to ask. So when you start a business, like, for example, Caltex, their slogan is, it used to be, what drives you?
Yes.
So what is this thing that drives you to ensure that you maintain that momentum? Because most of the time you find that you start with a bang, then after some time you find yourself discouraged, and since you don't have the right environment and the right people to advise you through the business, you find yourself just giving up your dreams concerning the business that you have. So what is this thing that really drives you, and what does you getting motivated contribute to the business? Yes.
Okay, thank you, Peter Karaoke there from Thika. Two questions for you. One on the safe space for fine-tuning ideas and what drives you to maintain the momentum, which is actually really important, I must say, because we start with so much, psych, but somewhere along the line we sort of like, I'm just using we.
It's okay. No, it's good. No, you're one of us.
I see the way you're looking at me.
No, go ahead.
But
sorry,
how do we maintain it?
I apologize for
Sure,
just
okay.
So let's go to the first one. Yes, there are various incubation hubs that are available. And there is some benefit to the incubation hubs, especially when the benefit includes some financial support in terms of even just a business space for you to be able to meet and to be able to do that. Please just Google incubation hubs In Kenya, you'll find many of them. They are available, and they each come with different requirements along the way. Are they useful? Yes. Is there some opportunity within them? Yes. But not all businesses need to go through an incubation hub in order to begin. Let me tell you, one of the best incubation hubs to have is called the public market. When you offer your service or your product to the market in public, they will quickly tell you whether they like your idea or not and help you with the ideation at that stage. So are there opportunities? Yes, there are. Are they always necessary? Maybe, maybe not. But it's really about challenging the way that we think about business. And that's what we're trying to do right now. So a quick answer is yes. Please Google business incubation in Kenya, and there are various opportunities that are there. On the second question,
the second one was what drives you to maintain the momentum?
Now this is it. I know it sounds, I remember I said that all our classes begin with mindset. Why is that so important? Because let me tell you this, business is hard. Just like any good thing, it is tough, but it is possible. Now, what gets you through the tough times, what gets you through those moments to actually solve the problems that are in front of you is your passion for the ideas that you want to achieve. So I'll give an example of Centonomy. We want to shift mindsets so that purposeful people can create wealth and live abundantly. Now, in a country where there's overwhelming poverty like this, let me tell you, I just need to wake up and go onto the street and see that young person on the side begging for food to know that my job is not done. Our job at Centonomy is not done until in this country and in this continent, we have people who can eat in dignity and are not on the street. So let me tell you, if you want passion, set yourself up like that. Set a vision that is bigger than you. Set something that challenges you on a daily basis. When I'm going down, I told you, when I'm seeing young people coming out of college without a job, I have not solved the problem yet. Because Grace has not started the business that she should have started to employ 5 other people. Because that's what we need to be able to do. So in response to you, passion is so important. But passion is not, people look at passion and they think passion is just the joy, the flowery, fun, all that thing. Passion is what pushes you through hard times.
Yes.
Passion is, it's not just the joyful stuff. It is the thing that causes athletes to wake up at 3 in the morning and run 100 kilometers. You think Kipchoge enjoys waking up at that time to run? He does not.
Nah.
He's a human like you who wants to sleep. But because he is passionate about what he does, he goes over and above. I need you, Kenyans, to look at this society and to say, look for something that bothers you deeply. And if it bothers you deeply enough, it will cause you to stay awake at night thinking, how do we solve this problem? And when you're in that space, I tell you there's a business that's going to come out of you. All businesses that are successful are driven at that base level by solving people's problems passionately. What is your passion, is my question.
Now, before I get your closing remark, I need to pick your mind on a comment from our viewers. One of our viewers here, David Omwami, he says, you never know what's for tomorrow. It's good to have a better plan, but kama do iko, just use it. Tumia pesa ikuzoea.
Yes, it is the YOLO attitude. You only live once, right? David, my response always to this YOLO idea is if you only live once, live well. Don't waste it. Give everything you've got because you only actually have one chance at life. Don't live it half-hearted. Don't live it saying that I don't have opportunities. There's a famous South African entrepreneur and speaker, and I encourage many young people to follow him as they follow us on Centonomy on YouTube, Twitter, or all the above. He's a gentleman called Vusi Tembekwayo. And he speaks about this, and he talks about it like this. One of the difference with the way people invest in Africa and the rest of the world is that in the rest of the world, there's a thing called patient capital. And that's what we're trying to raise in Africa. Patient capital means that people are willing to invest not knowing when the return will come out. A good example is one of the things we're using, Facebook. Facebook for many years had no returns, had no profits to talk about. But people were willing to pump in money because they could see in 5, 6, 10 years down the road, Facebook will be a multi-billion-dollar company like it is right now, but they were willing to take that risk. So those people who were investing in those small apps that at that time Facebook was a small app. It was not 2 billion users, a couple of 100,000 college students. Those investors were saying, I'm looking 5-10 years down the road. And by that investment, they are now reaching over close to 2 billion people around the world. David, those guys had a plan for 5 and 10 years. Are you saying that you cannot be able to see the future? I think those who create wealth are the ones who are passionate about the present, but are living for the future. I think we can begin to do that now. Hopefully we can do that.
Certainly.
Yes.
Let's now get your parting shot, and in it, you can also tell people how they can reach you.
Great.
If they want to join your classes. Are they free? Are there any charges?
We are hoping to get there. Imagine we're in business, but we're hoping to get to the point. We have lots of free material online. Do check us out on Facebook and on especially YouTube. Centonomy on YouTube and Centonomy on Facebook. Centonomy, because we've got a lot of free material there, lots of information that can begin the journey for you. But you also can check us out on centonomy.com, which gives us all the details about the programs that we run to help people in Africa and around the world to create sustainable wealth. That's what we are about. But yes, next year we've got a whole lot of amazing stuff that's coming up. We'll have a special focus on helping businesses at the startup stage and those who've been struggling, even if you've been having a business for 5-10 years, but it's not paying you. How do we begin to get your business to pay you? We've got a couple of free events early on in there, especially starting with our open day. I believe it's 25th of January. It's a free event at All Saints Cathedral. Come there so that you begin your journey of wealth creation. But all the details, as I said, are online on our website, centonomy.com, Centonomy on Facebook, and Centonomy on YouTube. Lots of free material that you can begin to learn from now onwards.
I know that was your last remark, but there's a question here, and I'd like you to answer it in under a minute because I'm told you don't have time. George Baraka asks, what's your projection on the online business in Kenya?
Growth.
Growth.
Yes.
That's it.
That's it.
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much for joining us today, Mr. Waithaka Gatumir, the CEO of Centonomy. There's a lot of feedback, but there's one I want to read because it's directly for you. Moses Mbogo, who says, wow, I love the conversation. We should have more of this. The guy is sober and articulate. Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for all the feedback, for those of you that called in live. We do appreciate. I see a lot of it. Of course, I'll be sampling it at the end of this program. So we need to take a break, but do stay with us. We're back with more after the break. Thank you, sir.